We'll chant Om 3 times, followed by the invocation shlokas. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. As we are covering Upadesha Sara, we'll do the Mangalacharanam shloka. I am going to put the shloka in the chat. Please repeat after me. Antaryascha bahirvidhutatimiram
Antaryascha bahirvidhurtimiram
jyotirmayam shashvatam
Jyotirmayam Shaswatam
sthanam prapya virajate vinamatam
Sthanam Prapya Virajate Vinayatam
ajnanamunmulayan
Ajnana Unmulayan
pashyan vishvamapidamullasatiyo
Pashyan Vishwam Pidam Ullasati Yo Vishwasya
vishvasya
Pare
pare paraha
Vishwasya Pare Paraha
तस्मै श्रीरमणाय लोकगुरवे
Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Loka Guruve
शोकस्य हन्त्रे नमः.
Shokasya Hamtre Namaha.
Thank you. So, in Upadesha Sara, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi ji has started with Karma Yoga. In the first 3 verses, he briefly described Karma Yoga. What are the problems with performing karma? Because every time we perform karma, there is a vasana and karma phala is associated with us. And that results of the actions bind us. And because of that binding, we cannot have any progress in our spiritual path. Instead, if we dedicate all our actions to the Lord, that will help through karma yoga. That will help in terms of cleansing out our mind, and it will help with our moksha. Then, now one of the key concepts, or no, one of the key aspects, not concepts, key aspects of karma yoga is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, meaning everything that I am doing is for sake of Bhagwan. And then Prasada Buddhi is another key aspect, which is whatever is given to me, whatever I'm experiencing is Lord's Prasada. Now, to have this, we need to have bhakti. Now, to get that bhakti, how do we get that bhakti? That's where he shifted the gears to describe the bhakti yoga and bhakti marga. So, he says, you can perform the service to the Lord either with your body or speech or through the mind. When it is done through the body, it is called as puja. If it is pradhana, if it is primarily done through the mouth, it is called japa. And then if it is done through the mind, it is called as chintana. And between this, there is a little bit of gradation where compared to puja, japa is better, and compared to japa, chintanam is better. How should we do the puja? There, it is not just performing a puja for Bhagwan in a mandir, rather, see that Bhagwan is everywhere. Jagati Shadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Brut Deva Pujanam. Meaning, see that entire world is none other than the Lord Himself, and see the Lord everywhere. And once you have that kind of attitude, then you start seeing the presence of the Lord everywhere. As you're seeing the presence of Lord everywhere, then you slowly go to, you're able to enjoy the greatness of the Lord. And when you want to enjoy the greatness of the Lord, how can you do that? That is where we are coming into, gliding higher into the territory of japa. Uttamastavat uchamandata chittajam japa dhyanam uttamam. So the highest one, I mean, like the first thing is uttama, stava. Stavat means doing stavana. Stavana means it could be studying stotras. I mean, like you do Parayanam of Sundarakanda Parayanam is done in some places. Vishnu Sahasranama is chanted, Lalita Sahasranama is chanted. Or if you are not good at Sanskritam and all of this chanting the slokas, etc., forget about that. Just do bhajans, right? Simple bhajans. So you don't need to have like complicated words also, right? And that is the beginning where your mind is absorbed in that nama, that name, and that form of the Lord as it is described in the stavana or that stotra or that bhajana. Now, then initially what happened is that when you go to a bhajan, right? You're not the only one who's doing bhajan. There are like group of people around you. Everyone is chanting. So even if your mind goes somewhere because you are hearing the bhajan of everyone, your mind is coming back. Oh yeah, everyone is doing bhajan. I should also do bhajan. So then you're doing it, right? So the atmosphere, the external atmosphere is helping us to bring focus onto the Lord. That is why bhajan is good. But then once you graduate, not graduate in the sense like, once the mind is able to focus on the Lord, then you don't need other people to be chanting around you if you want to chant. So compared to that stavat, then you can chant alone on your own. And when you're chanting alone on your own, you can chant aloud. This is called as Ucha Japa. Ucha Japa means other people can hear your japa. Now, when other people are hearing the japa, why is it important? Because we'll come to that. Okay. Compared to that, chanting the name of the Lord, doing japa of the Lord quietly, like where only you can hear. Okay. So the Ucha japa is called as Para Shruti Gochara, meaning like other people can hear. Manda japa is Swashruti Gochara, meaning only you can hear what you are saying. So that is better. Why is that better? Is because when you're chanting aloud, your body is getting tired, etc. So you cannot really do it for too long. Okay. If you want to say Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, after 10 minutes or 15 minutes, the mouth gets hurt. I mean, like you get tired and then you want to take rest. But if you're just sitting quietly, only where you can hear that, you can continue it a little longer. So because of that, compared to the Ucha Japa, the Manda Japa again, Manda sometimes is translated in to our local languages as Manda means dull. it is not the quality of your japa is dull, only the sound alone is dull. Okay, where you can hear. The quality of japa is actually better in manda japa. Now, compared to that, chittajam japa, so where you got enough control on your mind that you don't even have to move your mouth, but the nama smarana is going on continually in your mind. Okay, so that is, understand that when you come to that point, you are becoming better and better. Okay, so it is not like, what it means is that it is here in the text, it says something like, compared to Ucha japa, Manda japa is better. Compared to Manda japa, Chittajam japa is better. It doesn't mean that they have better quality or something. No, what it means is that our mind is becoming purer and purer, and because of that okay, we'll come to the purity of mind. Because of that purity of mind, what is happening is that you are able to hold on to a single thought focused on the Lord. Now, purity of mind, what does that mean? Mind is pure. Okay. What is the impurity in mind? If I'm doing something like this, if I'm going like this, if there is some other force comes and if it moves this way, then this is interrupting my progress. So this is the impurity which is pushing me away. So my thought is in Bhagwan, and then suddenly I get a thought about my family, I get a thought about my job, or something that has nothing to do with japa, right? All these thoughts come and they keep on pushing. Okay. So now when that happens, when you're trying to do chitta japa, which is like in the heart, just revert back to manda japa. At least continue. Because what happens within the mind, if you're saying Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and some other thought comes, the word chanting of Om Namah Shivaya is gone. But when you realize that, chant it aloud as in like Manda Japa, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, like that. So then at least the mouth is chanting while the mind is going here and there, and eventually mind will rest, and then again you can continue with Chitta Japa. So this is the three ones, right? So now, when you're doing the Chitta Japa, that Chitta Japa is called as Dhyanam. Okay? And Dhyana means remembering or memory, right? So you are thinking about someone. Who are you thinking about? I'm thinking about Lord. How are we thinking? Initially, what happens is that our thought process is stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. Stop and go means like, you think about Lord, then some other thought comes, you enjoy that thought a little bit, then realize, oh, I had to get back to this. So you come back and then you continue. So this is what is compared to as Srota. Srota means river. So this is in the verse 7. Okay. So Ajadharaya Srotasa Samam. So in Srota, what is happening is that when a river is going on, right? So when a river, whether it's the river Ganga or Krishna, or even like in our own United States, whether it's the Mississippi River or any of these rivers, they don't have a smooth flow. They hit a rock and they split, but they continue going. Okay, they keep on going. So in our initial stages, we need to be like that water. That water, despite hitting all those obstacles, that river, they are not happy. That river is not happy unless and until it merges into the ocean or the sea. In the same way, whatever thoughts come, let them come. Okay, it is not like a good or bad. It is a part of our progression. As part of our progression, no matter what thoughts come, don't judge ourselves. Okay, we don't need to judge, oh, you know what, like I'm not good at this or something. That is fine. Okay, so just accept and say that, oh, I missed chanting the name of the Lord. Let me bring my attention towards Lord, and then keep going and keep going and keep going. This is what, like a flow of river. Yeah, that is Srota. So now this Srota is called as Viralata, meaning like it is what you call like in it is going in spurts. Okay. And then when we are doing it, then we go to the Sarala Chintana, meaning like we, over a period of time, we mature into Sarala Chintana. What is this Sarala Chintana? Because the Srotasa, meaning like the river flow is Virala Chintana. Virala meaning like, spurts, going in spurts, right? Whereas Ajyadhara, Ajyadharaya, that is the example that's given. Ajyadhara means the flow of ghee. The flow of ghee when you are actually pouring, right? Because those molecules are like really tight, like linked to them, like binding each other. When you pour either a ghee or oil, there's one single flow. Okay, it is not like water. Like in water, viscosity is different. So you actually like have splatter and all those things happen, right? But whereas in if you're pouring ghee, it is like one constant single flow is there, right? So that is how that Sarala Chintana comes. So now, obviously, compared to going in spurts and start and stop, Virala Chintana, obviously Sarala Chintana is better. But I cannot get to Sarala Chintana on my own, okay, unless I continue to practice. So the point is that understand that this requires practice. To get to the Sarala Chintana, you have to start with Virala Chintana, okay? And Virala Chintana over a period of, with Abhyasa Yoga, that I mean, like in Bhagwan, Krishna always says the word, uses the word Abhyasa Yoga in Kaunteya. He keeps on saying in Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because whatever when is Arjuna asks question, Bhagavan, you're asking me to do all of this, but mind is so it is like a huge what do you call like a wind, okay, that cannot be controlled. I mean, so how can I do this? By practice alone, Arjuna, that's what he says. So that Virala Chintana will turn into Sarala Chintana over with the practice. Now, this is about in terms of practice of this. However, within this is practice, right? Now, what about your thought? Okay. What about your thought? As in, like, what is the content of your thought? Is where he says, Bheda Bhavana Sohamityasau Bhavana Bhida Pavani Mata. So here, Bheda Bhavana and Abheda Bhavana, they are like two concepts that Bhagwan has given here. Bheda Bhavana means, Bheda means difference. Thought that I am different. I am different from you is Bheda Bhavana. I am different from God and I love God. That is Bheda Bhavana. I alone am God. God alone is me. There is no difference between me and God. This is Abheda Bhavana. There is no difference. Now, when does this come? When love is higher and higher. When, if you are teaching, right? If any of you are teachers, okay, on the day, I know like at least a couple of you were Bal Vihar teachers at one point or another point. On the day when all kids come, you see like those 5 to 10 kids, you don't know any of them. And they're all like students, okay. I'm going to teach them, okay, these guys are going to be like messy and all of that. You have all of those thoughts. But then over a period of time, you develop love for them. Okay. Now they become your children. Okay. At the end of the school year, Bali school year, when they are doing the presentation, more than those individual parents, you are very happy, you are ecstatic, you have tears in your eyes because you become, I mean, like you associate all of them with you. Okay, this is a typical experience, like most of us have gone through, right? Whether it is Bharaviha teaching or whether you have done soccer coaching or anything, what is happening is that the more we love, the walls between us are decreasing, and then we see them as one with us. Okay, where if like as a spouse, right? If someone yells at you and you are a quiet person, you're like, okay, whatever kind of a thing is there. But someone else at your child or your spouse in front of you, you will turn it, like you'll get very angry. Why? Because we don't see our spouse or our child any different from us, and we love them so much that we get so angry, right? So, why there? That is abheda bhavana. In these examples, that's the focus that I mean, like that's the point I'm trying to bring it out. And when you start loving God, you start surrendering to God, and then you become one with God. Okay. So, in fact, there is a Kabir Doha, something like प्रेम गली अति सांकरी तामे दोन समाय जब मैं था तब हरी नहीं अब हरी है मैं नाही. So what he says is that this love, okay, the prem gali, gali gali, okay. So this path of love is so tight, it is so tight that there's no space for two, there's no room for two. When I was there, okay, God was not there. Now that God is there, I am not there. Okay, there's only room for only one. Okay, so how did I understand that when I was there, God is not there? That part I understand. But when God is there, I am not there. What does that mean? That means God and I are one and the same. There is no difference. This is the feeling you get. Okay, so this is the feeling that you have. So Bheda Bhavana versus Abheda Bhavana. Okay, now how is that possible? That is explained in the next shloka, shloka number 9. Okay, so I will break down the words and we will chant the shloka. Bhava Shunya Sat Bhava Susthiti. Bhava Shunya Sat Bhava Susthiti. Or you want to break it further, you want to say Bhava Shunya Sat Bhava Susthiti. You can break that 6 also. Bhava Shunya Sat Bhava Susthiti. Bhavana Balat Bhakti hi Uttama. Bhavana Balat Bhakti hi Uttama. Together becomes Bhavana Balat Bhakti Uttama. Okay? So please repeat after me. भाव शून्य सद्भाव सुस्थिति.
भाव शून्य सद्भाव सुस्थिति.
भावना भलात् भक्तिरुत्तम.
भावना बला भक्तिरुत्तमा.
So bhavana balat. Okay. So what the balam means strength. So by the strength of or by the practice of what this bhavana. Here bhavana means it is chintanam, it is upasana, it is dhyana. That started with what bhavana? When we start, God is there, I am here, right? So in all our things, how do we pray to God? I mean, like if there's no picture of God in front of us and we need to pray. How do we pray? We look into sky and say like, hey, Bhagwan, like that, right? So what happened? Me and Bhagwan are different. So, but this bhavana balat, okay? So with this Bheda bhavana is going to be transferred, going to change into Abheda bhavana, that I am him. So Saha eva aham. Aham eva saha. I alone is him. He alone is me. Okay. That state, okay. This doesn't come so easily. Okay. This doesn't come after 1 day or 2 days of practice. We have to do long practice on a regular basis. So because what happened? First we have Virala Chintana. Okay. From Virala Chintana, and within that Virala Chintana, there's a Bheda Bhavana. Okay. And from that Virala Bheda Bhavana, we slowly get to Sarala Bheda Bhavana. Then what happens? Occasionally you feel like, oh, me and Bhagwan are one. So that means Virala Abheda Bhavana is there. Then eventually constant feeling of Sarala Abheda Bhavana. So that's like a 4-step process. Okay. So each step is going to take its own time depending upon the amount of practice we perform. So this is Bhavana Balat. Now Bhava Shunya. Okay, Bhava Shunya. Bhava means thought, okay, or a feeling. Shunya means lack of or void of, meaning thoughtless state. So what happens is that the thoughtless state, what does it mean? That means that the thought ends. There is no other thought. There's no other thought. There's no thought. Not like no other thought. There is no thought. So initially, when I'm practicing anything, when I'm doing japa or chintana, I have how many thoughts do I have? I have multiple thoughts. Hundreds or thousands of thoughts are there. Now, from those hundreds of thoughts or thousands of thoughts that are there, as the mind is getting purified, the disturbing thoughts are becoming fewer and fewer, and eventually I'm getting to a single pointed focus, single thought. Okay, so that's the Sarala Chintana. And from there, even that single thought ends. Means what? Even today, all of us, we experience lack of thoughts. But that lack of thoughts happens in a couple of hours from now. When you, after dinner, you go, sit in the bedroom and lie down. I mean, turn off the light, lie down, cover the bed sheets cozily, right? And like lie down cozily. And after 10 minutes, we don't even know when there is no more thought. So this is something that we experience bhavashonya as sleep, where there are no thoughts. In our deep sleep, there are no thoughts. But Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji is talking about bhavashunyata when we are awake. The mind is alert, but there is no thought. You are awake, but there is no thought. This is the thoughtless state, okay, that Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is talking about. Sat bhava sustiti. At that time, even when the thought, soham, I am him, ends, at that time, there is a firm abidance in existence alone. Sat bhava sustiti. That sat is referring to existence. Now, in this state, there is no identification with self anymore. It is you have become one with God. Like Kabir Das ji said, in the Kabir Doha, we said, right? जब मैं था तब हरि नहीं, अब हरि है मैं नहीं. There is no more me now that God is there. God means in what? Sat alone is God. When God is there, I am not there. So, in this regard, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives an example. Tells a story. Okay, so parable, right? So yeah, parable is the right word. So what happens is that now a doll, okay, a doll, means a figurine is made up of salt, and it wants to experience salt. Now it went on from person to person, guru to guru, and asking, what is salt? And every guru is saying that you are salt. And this, but it cannot taste itself because it is salt. How can salt taste salt? It cannot taste salt. So one guru said, okay, see there is the ocean. Yes. Ocean is full of salt. Okay. Go jump in there. And you know what salt is. And then this doll went and jumped into that ocean, and then it melted and became one with ocean. And then there is no questioner who is asking, who am I? Okay, that what am I, this salt? Okay, what is salt? So in the same way, when I am not there, when there are no thoughts, when ahankara is not there anymore, what happened is that whatever is there is Bhagwan alone, that Sat alone. That Sat is none other than my true nature. So this is Sat Bhava Susthiti. And how is it coming? Through Bhavana Bala. So this is the Bhakti Ruttama. This is the Uttama Bhakti. This is the, of all the culmination of Bhakti, right from puja, right? Puja to japa. Within japa we have, within puja we have seen temple puja and seeing Bhagwan everywhere and doing puja. From there, performing japa. Within japa we have seen what? We have seen doing stavana, doing like Ucha Japa, Manda Japa, Chitta Jam Japa, and then Chintana. In there, like we have seen Sarla Chintana, Virla Chintana, Sarla Chintana, Bheda Bhava Chintana, Abheda Bhava Chintana. All of that, what we are coming to is getting into Sat Bhava Susthiti, firm abidance in that Sat. That is a culmination of entire Bhakti Marga. And this is how we come to Bhakti. Okay. So I want to pause here and see if you have any questions. Okay. If there are no questions.
In other words,
Mhm.
we have, when we have this bhakti bhavana, so there is the duality, right?
Mhm.
I am different from you, O Lord. So there is that duality. Then how does that culminate into oneness then?
that, right? Bheda bhavana culminates into abheda bhavana when you start loving. When you start loving God, what happens is that it is my God. Okay? My feeling is what? This God is mine. Okay? And then from there, what happens is you know that God is everywhere. Okay. Yes? And
I don't follow this point here when you say God is everywhere, and then you also say God, it is my God.
okay,
So,
the God is okay. So you love your God? Yes? Okay, let's put it this way. Okay. So think about this way, right? There are different forms in our Hinduism. Our Hinduism allows having different forms of the Lord. Now, among these different forms, you have a Ishta Devata.
okay.
Yes? Now,
Okay.
this Ishta Devata is the one you love more.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, okay, so that doesn't mean like, okay, so for example, if your Ishta Devata is Vishnu Bhagwan, Narayana, it doesn't mean that you disrespect Lord Shiva or Lord Ganesha or anything like that. Okay? It is just that you love that God. Okay? That form of the divinity more. You have a special direct personal connection to that form.
Okay.
And now, as you're reading scriptures, you understand that God is everywhere. And which God is everywhere? If you're saying that Narayana Bhagwan is your favorite, Bhagwan Narayana is everywhere.
Okay.
Okay? Actually, the meaning of Vishnu is whatever, whoever is all, Vishnu, the meaning of Vishnu itself is all pervasive. Okay? Sat is also all pervasive. Okay? So, so now, if this Vishnu Bhagwan is everywhere, then you start thinking and you're chanting Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana day and night, day and night. As you're chanting, you start thinking, is Bhagwan here? Is Bhagwan there? Right? And then one day you think about Prahlada. Prahlada's dad, Hiranyakashipu, asked if there is God in this pillar.
Yeah.
And Prahlada said, God is everywhere, so he is in this pillar. Whether God was there before or not, just to make sure that his devotee's word comes true, that Narayana Bhagavan has to be in that pillar. And when that pillar was broke, that Vishnu Bhagavan came out. But the bigger important point is God is everywhere. If God is everywhere, is God around? Is God everywhere around you?
If he's everywhere, has to be around me too.
Okay. If that is the case, is God inside you?
He has to. I guess so. He
Yes,
has to.
okay. See,
Yeah.
okay. So now, question is there anything in you that is not God? If God is everywhere, is there anything in you that is not God?
No, everything is God.
Okay. Everything outside is God. Everything inside is God. There is whatever you think is you
Is God.
is God only, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, I am nothing. All that is there is God alone. Okay? Whatever I think I am different from God, there is no such thing as a difference between me and God. God and I are alone. This is the Abheda Bhavana that you get because you are, see, this kind of a thought is easy to understand but difficult to practice. Okay? But understand that this is something that it comes after a lot of practice. Okay? You are chanting the name of the Lord and you are thinking about the nature of the Lord all day and all night on a regular basis for a long time, you're contemplating on that. So that is when this Bheda Bhavana is going to turn into Abheda Bhavana. On day one, you're not going to have Abheda Bhavana. Abheda Bhavana on day one is what? Oh, Vedanta says that I am God. I understand. It makes sense. But, like, I mean, it is probably, but I know how much dirt I have in my head. Okay. I know how many weaknesses I have. I know how many bad things I have done. How can I be God? Okay. Kind of a thing would be there. Okay. So we theoretically understand, but we practically cannot experience that. Why? Because the dirt in our own mind. Okay. And by practice, by abhyasa, the chitta shuddhi is happening. When that chitta shuddhi happens, when the dirt in our mind is going, melting away slowly, that is when we are ready to accept, yes, there is God in me too. Now, when you accept that there is God in you, it doesn't mean that suddenly you got egoistic or something. No, it is just that you're accepting that whatever is outside is inside. In fact, it is a kind of a humility where there's nothing other than God. Okay, whatever I think I am is nothing but God alone. Okay, so that is where that Kabir Das Ji ka Doha is very interesting and very powerful. That when I am there, when God is there, I am not there. Okay, because I totally surrendered. There is no individuality left in me. That is the Abheda Bhavana. That Bhavana comes when there is lot of love over a period of time. Okay, so in this way, the Bhakti Marga also, okay, in the step-by-step process that has been told to us, which is you start with Virala Chintana, which is of Bheda Bhava, then go to Sarala Chintana, which is again Vibheda Bhava still, then from there you go to Virala Abheda Bhavana, meaning once in a while you have flickering of that thought that I am same as God, and eventually that becomes stronger and stronger, and that becomes permanent. When that becomes permanent, that is what it is said, Bhava Shunya Sat Bhava Susthiti, Bhavanat Balat. Because of this Bhavana Bhala, when the thought of you is totally gone, there is no more thought. There is Bhava Shunya. And that Susthiti, when that is experienced continually, that is the Uttama Bhakti. That is the culmination of entire Bhakti. Okay? Does it help?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, now, with this, what happened is that the Karma Yoga is described and Bhakti Yoga also is concluded. Now, as I mentioned before, not in today's session, but in previous session, in this text, Bhagavan is going to talk about Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. 4 paths, right? So he has completed these 2. And before he goes to the third topic, Raja Yoga, he has placed an interesting verse. And this, think about as the core heart of entire Upadesha Sara. Okay. So this, even though we have 4 different paths, the starting point for each path is different, but the final end goal in all the paths is same. Okay. So what is the final end goal is something is described in this shloka. So I'll break down the words. This is the shloka number 10. Hrut sthale. Together becomes Hrut sthale. Manaha swasthata kriya. Bhakti yoga bodhascha. That is Bhakti yoga bodha cha. Okay? Bhakti yoga bodha cha. Together bodha and cha together becomes bodhascha. And Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. Single word. Okay? So please repeat after me. Hृत्स्थले mana sasthata kriya.
हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया
Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam.
भक्ति योग बोधाश्च निश्चितम्.
So here, Hrut sthale. Hrut means heart. Now, one of the favorite words, terms or the words of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is Hrut. Okay? Now, this word Hrut is not referring to the physical heart, but it is a mental heart. Okay? This heart, this Hrut is like, it is something like, when people say, you touched my heart. Not like, someone actually cut off the ribs and like touch the heart, right? It is touched my heart means you touched my mental heart, right? But again, this is not the mental heart either. Here, Hrut is referring to the essential central core, okay, of me. Meaning, whenever Ramana Maharshi ji, in Ramana Maharshi ji, whether it is Upadesha Sara, hopefully sometime we will do Saddarshanam, hopefully, okay, if we do it Saddarshanam, okay. The Hrut, the word Hrut is referring to self, okay. This is not a term that you will see in Shankaracharya's literature or Swami Vidyaranyaji's literature as Hrut, okay. So they simply say Atma. Here, Hrut is understand Hrut as Atma, okay. So Hrut is referring to the core, pure existing consciousness, self. Okay. And this Hrut is Hrut Sthale, meaning at the place of the heart. Okay. Hrut Sthale, where Hrut Sthale, Manaha is mind. Swasthata meaning it is sthaha. Sthaha means staying. Swastha means staying in its right place. Okay? Meaning everything is in its right place is swastha. See, in fact, like you probably heard in maybe in Hindi also it is there. If someone is sick and they become better,
स्वस्थ
स्वस्थ हो गया, right? Meaning, swastha means I came back to my normalcy. Okay? Wherever I was supposed to be, I was there. I am there. Okay? That is swasthata. Okay? So now, where should the mind rest? Mind should rest in Hrut. Okay? The resting place for mind is this Atma. In fact, in Chandogya Upanishad, there is a mantra. okay, which uses the example of a bird called Shakuni bird. Shakuni is like typically we know Shakuni as
In Ma-
Kaurava's uncle, right? Evil uncle. Okay, but there Shakuni is actually there's also a bird which wants to always fly. Now this Shakuni bird, this example of Shakuni bird, obviously Chandogya Upanishads predate Mahabharata story. So probably the name of that character was named after the Shakuni bird for whatever reason. So now let us say a Shakuni bird. This is an example that Chandogya Upanishad gives. It is tied with a knot. Okay, a thread. Now this thread is too long, maybe 100 meters, no, maybe 1,000 meters, maybe 2,000 meters, too long. So like, like back in India, we used to have kites and we used to have a charka where all the thread is there, right? And we keep on letting that charka turn so the thread is being released. And as the thread is being released, the kite is going higher and higher and farther and farther in the air. In the same way, this Shakuni bird it appears as if it is free because of long string. Okay, because it is tied to long string, it appears it is free and it is going and going and okay, it flies all over. But there is no resting place for it because it is still tied. So what does it do? Eventually it will come back. And when it is tired and when it comes back, it comes back to the same bandhana and it finds its resting place there and sits. Oh, I flew all over and I got in, I tired and came here. Now, Hrutsthale mana swasthata kriya is that the mind runs around and goes all over and it runs and it has to come back. Where should it come back? It has to come back and Atma is the resting place. And this is where it naturally belongs. The mind belongs in the Atma, that Hurut. And where there is no discomfort. And when it rests, after running around everywhere, that reminds the previous shloka, Bhava Shunya Sat, Bhava Susthiti. Okay? Because mind, when it is not there anymore, when it is not thinking anymore, what does it mean? It is resting in
Atma.
in that Bhava Shunya Sat, Bhava Susthiti. So this combination of this mind coming and resting into the heart, this action, this kriya, okay, this is an action, right? I mean, the mind is going elsewhere, ran here, ran there, everything is a action. Then when it has actually, like, after going around all over, it said, okay, enough of it. I want to rest. Now this happens on a daily basis when I want to sleep. But as a seeker, when you see, when we have proper discrimination, viveka, from that viveka, vairagya comes. That everything I experience is based on the association with this world. But this world is continually changing, and the relationship between me and this world is also continually changing. So nothing is permanent. And in this impermanent world where everything is changing and my relationship with this continually changing, how can I expect permanent peace in this world? This is the Vairagya. When that Vairagya comes, what do I want to do is, I want to hold on to that state where there is permanent sukha. And that permanent sukha is right within my ruth, okay, in my inner core. Because what is my inner core? What is who I really am? Who are we really are Sat, Chit, and Ananda. That happiness is us. The core of us is happiness. So it is, after looking everywhere, there is no happiness anywhere, and it is coming back. And it is resting here. Now, what is this Karma Yoga trying to do? Trying to get the mind situated in the heart. What is Bhakti Yoga trying to do? Trying to get the mind situated in the heart. What is the Raja Yoga or Jnana Yoga is going to do? Same thing. Okay. So, this Bhakti Yoga Bodhascha Nishchitam. This Bodha, this, whether it is Bhakti Yoga, Bodha is referring to Jnana, because Bodha is teaching, right? So Bodha is referring to Jnana Yoga. Okay? Whether it is Kriya Yoga, whether it is Bhakti Yoga, whatever it is. And this Kriya is referring to Kriya Yoga. Okay? So whether it is Karma Yoga, whether it is Bhakti Yoga, or whether it is Kriya Yoga, or finally it is Jnana Yoga, all of them are trying to get your mind to settle in your Atma. This is where we had to go, and there is no question about it. There is no doubt about it. This is Nishchitam. This is guaranteed. This is the purpose of all paths. Okay. So this is what the meaning of this shloka. Will go a little bit more deeper into this shloka in the next session. Okay. So I'll pause here and see if you have any questions.
Then why is it considered as yoga? Why is yoga used here?
Yoga is
not just bhakti or jnana or karma.
Yeah, yoga means what? Union.
Okay.
Okay. Union of what? Union of something lower with the higher is yoga. Okay. So you can say that me as a lower uniting with a higher Bhagwan is yoga. Okay. But now who is Bhagwan? My own Hrut. My own Swaswarupa is Bhagwan. And what am I thinking that who I am? I am not thinking that I am Bhagwan. I'm not understanding that my true nature, myself, nature of self. Rather, I am associating myself with this physical body or my mind and thinking that I am different from my true nature. So that union of this lower thing, which is the mind, into that truth is yoga. So whether through path of Karma Yoga, whether through path of Bhakti Yoga, Kriya Yoga or Jnana Yoga, it doesn't matter. The goal of all of them is this union. And when mind is merged into the self, what happened? Bhava Shunya has happened. Right? That is what the ultimate goal is. Does it help? So shall we pause?
Yeah.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.